Okay, we're here, we're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. And if you can hear me clearly, please drop a one in the live chat below. Please, if you can hear me clearly, please drop a one in the live chat below, and then we can get today's stream started. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. Also, make sure you drop a like on this video as well because that helps in the YouTube algorithm to push this video out, and YouTube will recommend this video to those who need to see it. And also, please make sure you share this video or the link to this video on your social media platforms as well. And I see the ones are starting to come in, so we can get into today's show. Now, what I want to talk about today is third party politics, right? And third party political candidates. That seems to be what everyone's discussing nowadays, especially in the mainstream. Everything is about third party, third party, third party, the need for a third party. This isn't a new discussion. People have been talking about this for quite some time now, for many, many years, as far as I can remember. But this is the first time in a long time that it's really kind of taken the mainstream stage, you can say, right? With RFK, even though he's running as a Democrat, but with RFK running against Biden as a Democrat, and Cornel West running with the Green Party. Now, this does have the Biden administration slightly concerned, slightly worried. I don't believe by too much, but it's really more of a concern for Democrats than it is actually for Joe Biden. It's really a concern for Democrats as a whole, right? When you're talking about RFK, right? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., when you're talking about him, uh, he isn't necessarily an issue for Joe Biden. Joe Biden will get the nominee as the Democrat who will run against Trump. But what RFK does signify, if I'm using that word correctly, right? What he does signify is the people's want, need, and desire for change and for something new, something different, and something fresh. That's what he does represent. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Represent, not signify. Is signify even a word? Somebody Google that for me and let me know. But what he does represent, right, is something new, something fresh, right, that the people actually want. And that also bleeds into third party candidates and third party politics as well, right? So then we come into Cornel West. Cornel West is actually a problem for Joe Biden. And that's what we're hearing a lot about in the mainstream. All the dialogue surrounding Cornel West surrounds how he's going to, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, because he's running as a Green Party member, he's going to siphon votes away from Joe Biden, right? That's what he's going to do. And because of that, Biden will most likely lose and Trump will become president once again. That's what everyone's talking about. And as I stated, when Cornel West first announced his bid for president, they're already setting the stage to lay all the blame on Cornel West's feet when and if Joe Biden loses. And I find that very interesting, given the fact that Democrats never actually take responsibility for their own failures, right? They don't at all. When you examine and look at the fact that if they lose, they're going to blame Cornel West. They're going to blame Cornel West and the Green Party the same way that if you've been listening to the mainstream dialogue surrounding Cornel West, they blame the Green Party for Hillary Clinton losing to Donald Trump in 2016, right? And even if the Democrats do get into office, then the blame goes to Republicans, right? But they never hold their own blame and take responsibility for their own shortcomings as it pertains to the people that they're supposed to be representing. So I want to get into this today. And before I do so, there are 139 of you in the live chat right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. And also, earlier this week, I released a clip from an interview I did with Councilman Ja'Cory Arthur, from Louisville. It's a really good clip, And it's a really good interview that I did with him a few months back that I'm just now releasing. And in this clip here that I released, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, we discussed the importance and power of local politics. If you have not watched that clip already, it's only 5 minutes. You can do so by hitting the link pinned in the live chat above. And if you're watching the replay of this video, I will leave the link to that clip in the description box as well as, and also in the comment section below. And if you are a channel member, if you become a channel member, you can actually watch this interview in its entirety. It is currently available for channel members, the full interview. So if you're interested in that, this is a very good interview that I did with him on local politics and the importance of people power. Really good interview, very powerful and informative interview concerning running for local office, how to run for local office, and how to win, how to run to win so that we can take control of our own communities. It was a very great discussion. So once again, if you're a channel member, you can watch that interview in its entirety. I'm not sure when I'll be watching. I don't know. I'm not sure when I'll be releasing this interview in its entirety. I'm not sure when that will be. But if you want to watch it now, you can become a channel member and do so. So now let's get into today's topic, right? Let's dive right into it. And let's go on ahead and knock this on out the park. So as you can see here, this is a NBC News article titled "More Democrats Than Republicans Are Open to a Third-Party Presidential Candidate." That's right. More Democrats are open to it than Republicans. Now, there's a few bullet points that I want to highlight as we go through this article. Now, let's dive into it. 44% of registered voters say they are willing to consider supporting a third party or independent presidential candidate if President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are the two major party nominees in 2024. A majority of all registered voters, 53%, say they wouldn't consider voting for another candidate in a matchup between Biden and Trump next year. So the majority of people, of American citizens who are voters overall, still would not consider voting for an independent or third party candidate. But, you know, significant gains have been made throughout the years, so much so to where 44% say that they would. Now, here's what's really interesting, right? Let's break this down over here. Among Democrats, 45% say they'd consider backing a third party or independent presidential candidate versus 34% of Republicans who would consider backing another candidate. So as we can see here, those who typically vote blue no matter who, those who are Democrats, are more willing to vote for a third party candidate than Republican voters typically are. Now, here's where we get to the numbers concerning Black Americans, right? A majority of Hispanic voters, 58%, young voters age 18 to 34, 57%, Democrats who backed progressive Senator Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders in 2020 Democratic primary, 55%. Once again, I'm giving you the numbers of those demographics within the Democratic Party who are willing to vote third party or independent, or who will at least consider it. Now let's get to Black voters. And Black voters, 52%. 52% of Black voters say they are open to considering a third party or independent presidential candidate in a Biden-Trump rematch. And this is a very good thing. It's a good thing. Number one, because for once, we see that it appears Black folks are kind of trending in the right direction of things concerning what's going on in the country and understanding that there is a great need for change overall as it pertains to establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans, right? Typically, when it comes to statistics like this, and you all know because I read these off before, normally you'd see 58% Hispanics are considering voting third party or independent, right? 57%, 18 to 34. Those who want Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, who wanted them in the last election, 55%. And then normally you get the Black voters, and it would be like 32% of black voters are considering a third party or independent presidential candidate. But for once, and I'm pleasantly surprised to see they are actually over half of black voters are considering third party or independent presidential candidate. Now, I want to come to this portion right here, and I want to speak to this for a minute because this quote comes from, if I'm reading that correctly, Senator Joe Manchin, who says, from the Republican Party's perspective, this is a low watermark for considering a third party. And it's a high watermark for Democrats. Why is it a high watermark for Democrats and not for Republicans? Well, it's mainly because of this. When we're talking about the Democratic Party, as many of you may or may not be aware of, one of the nicknames for the Democratic Party is the Umbrella Party, right? And it's considered or called the Umbrella Party as a nickname because they represent so many groups up underneath it, right? The LGBT, women, immigrants, Hispanics, Asians, black folks. They're supposed to be representing all these people. But the thing is that they make a lot of promises that they just simply don't follow through on. And when you're talking about Black America, the Democrats don't make you any promises because of the benign neglect policy, right? They don't make promises to Black Americans that they're going to do anything for them. But what they will do is that they will sit and entertain conversations with Black folks about the racial wealth gap and the maternal deaths and things of that nature. And after entertaining conversations with you about these multiple disparities between Black people and white people, Black folks typically walk away with the assumption that Democrats will do something for them. Well, I would like to believe, right? I would like to believe that after over half a century of religiously voting Democrat, that at some point, maybe this point, Black folks will stop assuming that Democrats are going to do something for us, right? When they clearly never make any promises to you. And I do believe that that is one of the reasons that we're seeing 52% of Black voters are considering voting independent, if not third party. You can only sell folks on big dreams and not follow through for so long before they turn on you, right? How long can you keep doing that? And typically what ends up happening a lot of the time is that you'll see people defect to Republican Party because a lot of people just aren't ready to do third party independent because they feel it's pointless. But at this day and age and at this point in time, a lot of people are considering third party candidates. And if not a third party candidate, they're considering RFK. But let's focus on Black Americans now, right? Let's do that. I want to focus on Black folks because when it comes to Black folks, a lot of us are very excited about Cornel West, right? A lot of us are very excited about Cornel West running for president. I've seen quite a few people in this on the comment section of my videos here discuss how they're going to vote for Cornel West. And I want to speak to that just a little bit as I have before in the past, right? But people are very excited about that. A lot of our people are. And because a lot of our folks are excited about that, it's only right that I give Cornel West, as I have in a video prior, the same level of criticism that I would give anybody else that is supposed to be running for president of the United States and has Black America's name in their mouth as if they're going to do something for them by speaking to their past and speaking to their pain, right? Recently, Cornel West did an interview with the New York Post. Many of you are familiar with this article that came out already via the New York Post. This article is titled "Cornel West Says Biden Committed Crime Against Humanity," right? Against Black Americans. And he also did an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News as well, right? He also did an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News. Now, I want to highlight a few bullet points in this article also. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to touch on the handful of things the few things that he said concerning Black Americans, right? But before we do that, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button. There are 311 of you in here right now. Please hit the like button if you have not already. That is one of the most important things you can do for this channel, outside of financial contributions via Super Chat, Cash App, and Venmo. And speaking of Super Chats, thank you very much, Kevin C., for being the first person to contribute to today's live stream. It is deeply appreciated. Thank you very much, brother. I definitely appreciate it. Now, let's dive into this article here. And like I said, we're just going to hit a few bullet points because a lot of you have come across this already. A lot of people have talked about this already, including our good brother in the live chat, Rob from Blacklight Revelations 2. So here's what Cornel West had to say, right? Here's a few things that he had to say. Well, I think, I think you'll think Joe Biden contributed to a crime against humanity when he became the architect of the mass incarceration regime in the 1990s, said West, 7 years old, referring to the Tough on Crime, Violent Crime Control, and Law Enforcement Act Biden sponsored as a senator in 1994. The bill authorized the hiring of 100,000 new police officers and allocated $9.7 billion for prisons. Okay. Here's a few more bullet points that we'll highlight here. I've taught in prison for 41 years, and the level of barbarity in our prisons has something to do with the crime bill that he put forward, said West. Black folks are low priority to Biden, West continued, adding the president was much better at window dressing Black faces in high places than substantive change. West gave Biden's performance on race a dismal grade of C minus. Now, what Cornel West is saying here is a lot of what many of us have stated. I've stated these things concerning the Democratic Party and Joe Biden on this channel multiple times. And Cornel West is saying the same thing as well, that Biden has done a phenomenal job at window dressing, putting Black faces in high places. But when it comes to substantive change, crickets, there's nothing. He hasn't done anything that anybody can point to of substance, right? Now, let me scroll down because I think I have one more point that I want to highlight. Well, it looks like I have two more points here, right? He put, it's very clear that Biden is, it's very clear that his cognitive power is in decline, claimed West, right? We all know that Joe Biden is kind of losing it in the brain a little bit. And also here, to close this article out, Robert Kennedy Jr. has made a splash in media and political circles in the primary challenge to President Biden, but political experts watching the 2024 race say it is West who pose a far more dangerous threat. Yes, Cornel West is a far more dangerous threat to Joe Biden because, like I stated earlier, when it comes to RFK, he's not going to win, right? It just is what it is. And we all know Cornel West isn't going to, obviously he's not going to win as well. But what ends up happening with Cornel West running is that, as many people have already stated, he's going to siphon votes away from Joe Biden, which will most likely be the reason that he loses, right? So yes, Cornel West is a far more dangerous threat than Robert Kennedy Jr. Now, when you come to this Fox News article here, titled Cornel West calls out Biden's past connections to segregationists, says Trump also flawed on racial issue, right? So as you can see here, even in this Fox News interview, and they're pulling from a Fox News interview that Cornel West did with Sean Hannity. You see here that once again, just off the title alone, Cornel West is speaking to all of the critiques, or I should say some of the critiques that we have spoken on multiple times here on this channel, and that many of us have spoken to and have spoken about on our own respective channels, right? I believe I have a few bullet points that I want to highlight here, and let's get into it. Green Party presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West told Fox News on Monday that his third party bid is as serious as a heart attack and doubled down on comments he made, drawing into question President Biden's compassion for the Black community. West also claimed former President Donald Trump also has not been as much of a champion of minorities, but strongly criticized Biden's past relationship with segregationist Democratic senators. Once again, these are things that we've covered on here before. And if you go on to read this article, it just gives a few examples of the multiple times that Joe Biden in his past has praised, segregation, known segregationist and Klansmen, right? Here's a point that I have highlighted here. It says, on Hannity, West confirmed he is accusing Biden of crimes against humanity against African Americans, as reported by the New York Post, right? So here's the thing concerning Cornel West and everyone's excitement surrounding his presidential run, right? All these things sound great, and all of these things sound good. Cornel West is saying all of the right stuff as it pertains to him addressing Black Americans and seemingly holding Joe Biden accountable for his lack of compassion for Black Americans, and holding him accountable for simply just window dressing, putting Black faces in high places, but not delivering substantive changes. He's saying all the right things. But what this all ultimately boils down to for me, and mind you all, I like Cornel West. I've said this multiple times before, right? Before some of you get upset, because I know there's some of you, in the live chat that like Cornel West. I've said this multiple times before. I do like Cornel West. I always have liked Cornel West. Don't have anything against the brother. But with him now running for president, the same energy and critiques that he had for Barack Obama, and the same energy and critiques that I have for almost the entire Democratic Party, is the same energy that I have to keep for Cornel West. So then the question then stands, Cornel West, after saying all of this, after saying all the things that you said, what are you going to do about it? And that is where the problem lies. The problem lies there that he hasn't stated what he's going to do about it concerning Black America and their issues with the Democratic Party, their issue with Joe Biden, and the things that need to be done to make the proper corrective changes in the Black community. He hasn't stated anything. Can anyone please tell me what Cornel West is actually going to do about all these things that he has spoken on concerning Black America and their relationship with Joe Biden? Now, mind you, he hasn't said much. He said a little bit. He hasn't gone into detail. He hasn't even really gone in and really dug deep into critiquing Biden the same way he did for Barack Obama. He's actually been taking it easy on Joe Biden. If we're being honest, if we're being completely honest, he's been taking it easy on Joe Biden. He hasn't been going in the way that he did for Barack Obama, right? He's been taking it easy. And even in taking it easy, the question stands, brother. What next? What are you going to do? People love to ask people like myself, right? People watch this video and they're fans of Cornel West. They love him, and they'll hear what I'm saying and they'll say, well, what's the solution? What do you think that he should do about it? I'm not the one running for president. What should he do about it? Is he telling you what he's going to do? He's the one running for president, yet hasn't given you any answers yet to the problems that lie at the feet of Black Americans. Now, hear me clearly. If he's just simply running as a third-party progressive candidate, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to acknowledge Black America. Just run as a progressive third-party candidate. That's what RFK is doing. Now, obviously, RFK is not a third party candidate, right? He's running as a Democrat, but RFK doesn't speak to Black Americans at all. I don't think he's acknowledged Black America not one time. Somebody please tell me in the comment section, any of you who follow RFK, if he's even said the word Black American once. Put a thumbs up. Let me take a page out of Rob from Blacklight Revelations book. If you've heard Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if you heard RFK say at least one word about Black America, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down, right? Drop a thumbs up emoji if you've heard him say something about Black Americans. Put a thumbs down emoji if he hasn't said anything about Black Americans. I haven't heard RFK Jr. say anything about Black America, and that's perfectly fine. I don't need you to say anything about Black folks if you're not going to do anything about if you're not going to do anything for Black Americans. Just run as a generic kind of Democratic Party candidate. And I see the thumbs down are coming in. But when it comes to Cornel West and anybody else, as soon as they start talking that Black talk, as soon as they start talking about how Cornel West said Joe Biden has committed crimes against humanity towards the African American community, the question then stands, okay, so what are you going to do about it? And just like with the Democratic Party, unfortunately, when it comes to Cornel West, it's crickets. It's crickets. And that's really unfortunate. It really is, because like I said earlier, I like Cornel West. I always have. Always have. But, I hear him saying these things, and then, I go back to his presidential platform, right? Go to his website over here, and we're in the issues portion, and I just see a generic progressive presidential candidate. That's all I see here. Create true democracy, revitalize our economy, Medicare for all, end the wars, expand civil liberties, protect the environment. All that is great. That's all cool. It's fine and dandy. I'm not mad at that if that's what he's running on. But if that's what you're running on, if Cornel West is running as a generic, progressive, third party candidate, then just run on that and leave all the Black stuff alone. But if you're going to talk that Black talk, then I'm going to need you to give me solutions and answers to what you're going to do about all these issues plaguing the Black community. And if you can't do that, then I'm going to need you to be quiet. Plain and simple. I'm not trying to hear it. All of that Joe Biden is committing crimes against humanity towards Black Americans. Yeah, okay, bro, that sounds good, but you have no solutions towards what you're going to do about it. So at the end of the day, me personally, I'm not trying to hear it. And I'm sure you all are not trying to hear it as well. And with all that being said, that does it for today's live stream. So as you exit today's show, there are 476 of you in here right now. Please hit the like button on your way out. Please hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And also share this video out on your social media platforms. And lastly, as well, once again, if you become a channel member, you will have access to the full interview that I did with Councilman Ja'Cory Arthur a couple months back. I released a clip of it earlier this week, Monday. This was the clip that I released. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, called "The Power and Importance of Local Politics." But if you become a channel member, you can watch the full interview in its entirety for channel members only. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. I want to thank those who contributed to today's stream, and I will catch you guys on the next live stream. Have a great evening and a safe one. Peace.